think it's something that we got at Avery a couple of times. Now, again, this kind of goes back to the vegan kind of almost the culty aspect of it. Was that it wasn't vegan enough? You know, it was healthy vegan, like it was vegan, but it wasn't vegan enough. Yeah, I remember that one time you put the picture up of when we were butchering up the chicken.
Yeah,
and then it just got totally slammed. And I was like, this is the only place in the city that's giving you, all these, a huge amount of vegan options, and it's still not vegan enough. Like, what's the problem? How did you get around that in places like Mass, when you have both kind of customers coming
in? I suppose the problem with that specific post of butchering the chickens, because we had a lot of vegan followers, I suppose it's just not something they wanted to see on their feed, I guess. And maybe it was just a bad decision on my behalf. But on the flip side of that, it showed that we were using fresh ingredients, we were cooking from scratch, we were making everything ourselves, because
in? Because then that comes down to the pleasing the two people, though, because you are, you weren't a vegan restaurant.
No.
Fair enough, if you did that in Underdog, like that would be, that would be suicide in Underdog. Like, it wouldn't happen because it's 100% plant-based. But in Avery & Co, you're like, the guys that are eating this, I can't remember what it was. I think we were doing coq au vin or something at the time.
I think it was coq au vin, yeah.
And you're kind of like, the guys, you're utilising that whole bird this way. You're getting in the whole bird, you're using a leg, you're using everything. And people like to see that, I think. Not the vegans hated that. They didn't want to see it. But did you think that there's then that balance of why did not saying they were a minority, but how does that group decide what you get to post as opposed to the other group? How is that balance?
I remember at the time we were all talking about it. Like, I think half the team were saying take it down, but the other half of the team were saying, well, why should we?
That's because half your team were vegan.
But I think, I think it was like, I'm pretty sure Lewis was one of the people saying, let's keep it up. And he was the vegan in the team. And
yeah.
And he was like, it just shows that we're doing everything properly, And I think he was saying, well, people shouldn't be dictated to of what you can and can't post on social media. But that was a bad post, that one, I think.
I suppose it depends how you look at it, because then a lot of people would have had, I don't know, I suppose vegan, it was only a small group, wasn't it? It was a fairly big group, actually, in terms of social media and whatnot. But it was just one group of people. And I don't know, did that have any effect at all on what you were expecting? Like, did anything really come of that, do you think?
I think a few people kind of boycotted us after that, from the Vegan Dundee page. And didn't really return after that. But no, not overly. And usually all publicity is good publicity, so they say. I mean, we got a stinker of a review at Mass in the paper, but then there was total outcry and backlash over it, saying that is absolutely ridiculous, that review's wrong. So kind of all our customers got behind us, and usually when you see all these things, there's a couple of negative comments in there, but majority positive. Well, this one, I think it reached something like 30,000 people or something on the Courier's Facebook page. And there wasn't one negative comment. It was just, it felt kind of like we were redeemed a little bit after getting a bad review.
I suppose that kind of, I don't know, it gives people an opportunity to defend you as well, which is always a good thing.
And I think
something negative happens.
Even off the back of that, we did see business go up.
You should maybe get some more negative reviews then. Maybe that should be a business model.
Maybe we should just kind of plant people in each other's restaurants and.
it's strange for the courier. Like, I don't know. I think, I don't know, the papers are a bit kind of hit and miss. I don't know if they really know what they're talking about, or if they, I don't know. It's such a personal experience. That's why signing for reviews for me, that's kind of,
Yeah. And
I don't tend to look at them because you kind of, it's so personal, you know,
yeah,
to the person that's dining.
I think as well, for the person that's dining, generally that person likes a certain type of restaurant, whether it's there's a lot of people out there that like kind of the more fine dining restaurants, like maybe the Avery, what was Castle Hill, what Rory's doing at the Bridgeview station. That's a certain style of food.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's people like me, I quite like just kicking back and eating a taco with my hands and drinking a margarita, or going to Underdog and launching a hot dog down my throat, you know? Like, yeah. I like the kind of relaxed, laid back, kind of casual dining restaurants. So if you send someone, the reviewer in case, who likes the fine dining restaurants, to one of my restaurants that's really casual and laid back, mm-hmm. It's just not his cup of tea. Like, yeah. Which is totally fine. But don't, I think that's then that's not a fair review then.
Mm-hmm. I think that's the bit where it gets messy, because it's kind of like, it's fine to have that opinion, but you're using your platform to actively, you know, write off somebody's hard-earned work. Do you know what I mean? Like, everybody knows it's not easy opening up one restaurant, never mind two. No. Never mind, you know, it's not a fucking easy thing to do. There's a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of stress, a lot of sacrifice. And somebody comes along with a pen and paper and or it doesn't manage to kind of to bring it down. But you know, what are they actually? It always baffles me. Like, what's actually going through their head when they're writing that? You know, thinking, you know, I'm going to write that about that person's, you know, hard work, their livelihood, that's putting food on their kid's table. Yeah, I'm going to fucking try and badmouth it as much as possible in a review. Like, how do you get off on that? That's fucking. And it's so bizarre. Like.
It's crazy as well, but. I remember when we got the phone call saying, "Oh, you've had a reviewer and we're going to send a photographer around," and I thought, "Oh, brilliant!" Like, they told us what they had to eat, and I remember looking back through the system, and I remember the table, who it was. It was me that served them. Well, it was I think I was serving them, but Cammy took the order, so I thought, right, the service is going to be on point if it's Cammy. The food looked pretty good. I remember them ordering a few random dishes that just didn't really, it was a bit weird. So I thought, oh, this will be kind of a bit of praise for mass, you know, like a good review in the local paper. Then it came out and we just got battered, and I just thought, wow. And he doesn't slate the food that much. It's more the kind of decor of the place. It's weird.
Yeah, it's almost like it was like the feeling of the place you didn't like. Yeah, well, that's fine. Like, you don't have to. It's not going to be everybody's cup of tea. You know, coming into a place, and it is very obviously for people who've never been to mass. You know, it's rustic, but it's colourful. It's cool. It's modern. It's kind of, I don't know. It's very kind of Perth Road, if you ask me. You know, it is quite. That's got that feeling about it. And when you take the demographic of Perth Road into consideration into the restaurant, you know, that's bang on what people are looking for. You know, that's bang on its trend. You're right near the art school and whatnot. You know, it's got to be that kind of, I don't know, a little bit out there. You know, it's got to be like that.
Yeah,
and it works.
Well, yeah, it does work. And I think, excuse me, there was I remember watching a documentary about an LA food reviewer, restaurant reviewer. His name was Jonathan Gold, and he ate everywhere. But if it wasn't for him, if he didn't enjoy it, he wouldn't write about it. Mm-hmm. He would only, he knew, because he was from a restaurant background, he knew the amount of dedication and hard work goes into the restaurants. he didn't want to kill it, and he knew whatever he wrote for the LA Times or whatever paper or magazine he was writing for, he knew it would kill the restaurant if he wrote something about it. So
but I think no, sorry.
No, yeah. So he only wrote the good ones.
Because that's something. Then if you get, then that becomes a totally different game. There, it's kind of, it's not so much now about, oh, you get a review, that's great. It doesn't really mean a huge amount in terms of, especially a newspaper review, when you get a guy that probably nobody's ever heard of. You flick through. I think I've seen the review actually, because I think you can flick through the reviews he's done.
Yeah.
And it's very obvious, like, what he's into and what he's not into, and it's consistent throughout the reviews. And so if you go to a restaurant that you're not into, why the fuck are you writing about it? Why are you writing about that? If it doesn't, if it's not your thing. And so I think with this other guy you're talking about, even to get written up by him is a success in itself, because it's going to be. So there's not that, and people will pay attention because he doesn't waste time, slagging off people's hard work. It's a bit of a waste of energy, a bit of a waste of effort.
I know, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Do you feel it's sustainable being sustainable? Having that kind of plant-based, everything sustainable. Do you think that's, you often find, especially with things with diet requirements, tend to come with a bit of a higher price tag on them?
Yeah, I mean,
in a lot of cases.
Lately, I've noticed the prices starting to come down. Well, maybe not lately, but certainly before lockdown and the coronavirus, prices of the plant-based things were coming down ever so slightly. So I think as more people start using those products, then the prices will come down even more. Hopefully. But I've in lockdown, I've been doing so many kind of rejigging recipes and trying new things. And I don't know if you saw my Instagram feed the other week. I made the bacon that I made was just...
It looked the part.
Oh, looked it, tasted it. It was bacon.
Yeah.
But made from plants. It was bizarre. It was absolutely bizarre. But I mean, well, as you know, we tried a lot of bacon recipes at Avery and Co. out of random stuff.
Yeah.
And they weren't quite right. You kind of got the crispiness of bacon, but they never really...
Smokiness as well. You get that kind of smoky, but never the baconness.
Yeah, well, oh, this is perfect, honestly. Absolutely perfect. And as well, like, I made my own plant-based pepperoni as well. I've got a bit of a pizza fetish at home at the moment.
I've seen that. They look good as well. Is that something that you do them underdog,
Well, yeah, that's maybe the plan. We'll maybe do a kind of a pizza night once a month. Get the pizza oven set up and do pizzas once a month. That's kind of a rough idea at the moment. But the pizzas are just phenomenal.
Yeah.
Oh,
there's definitely something to be said, I think, for a vegan market. I try and attract as many vegans in here as possible. Like, we have a full vegan menu for the evening. We've got 8 or 9 different vegan options on the day menu. So it's kind of, I do think we get. I mean, there's only about, I think I probably know them all by name actually in this, but there's not a lot of vegans in the town. But when you look at, I mean, I've seen this to my old man and the customers asking the evening about vegans, and he was kind of a bit dismissive about it to start with, I think. But until you break it down into a business term from him and say, this guy is willing to pay the same for a cauliflower as that guy's willing to pay for 120 grams of beef, 200 grams of beef. Like, come on, like, it doesn't make business sense not to do it. Why not do it?
I get a bit annoyed at the people that say, oh, it's more expensive to eat a vegan diet or plant-based diet. I think a lot of people can't cook then if that's how they think. Because if you're filling your basket with like loads of vegan cheese, loads of vegan meat alternatives, it can be expensive, But if you're filling your shopping trolley or basket with fruit and vegetables, and cooking them properly, then it should be cheaper.
I think that's the hardest bit for for a lot of people being vegan is the convenience of it. It's so convenient to not be that it's so much more of an effort to be vegan, or it's more expensive because you do get, for instance, you go into Tesco and get a sandwich. You can get a sandwich that I think the wraps out 160 or whatever. You can get something, or you can get the vegan stuff. I think it's a brand. Is it Wicked? I think the brand is, and the stuff's delicious. I loved it. It was so nice. But I think it was about £3 or something.
Yeah.
Which is fine, you know. But you know, if people are looking at that saying, "Oh, I can get that one for £3," or I can get this chicken Caesar for 160, you know, you can see why people would think it's more expensive to eat vegan.
Yeah, definitely. I suppose it's.
But if you can cook, there's not an excuse, you know.
That's what I was about to say. Like maybe because we're chefs, it is cheaper.
Yeah.
Like we can cook a bigger range of things. It's easier for us to cook. Maybe if you've not kind of got a cooking background, then maybe it is a little bit more difficult.
If you're used to that kind of convenience, there's not a huge amount of convenient vegan food that's really on the same price point as the convenient standard food.
Yeah.
Although Tesco do some nice stuff. They do like the little pouches of jackfruit, like already spiced barbecue jackfruit and stuff.
I've never tried those actually.
Stuck in a microwave, like it's good for a quick microwave meal, you know, if that's what you want. But then it's just as easy to either make a barbecue sauce. If you can't be asked making one, just easy enough to buy one, get a tin of jackfruit, and you get 2 or 3 times as much for the same price. Just with a little bit of effort, you know. So I don't know. It's definitely a learning curve for everybody. I don't think there is an option though. I think that's the main point is there's not really an option. Something has to change.
Yeah, and I think the only thing that'll change is the amount of people buying it. Yeah,
because they're not gonna stop, you know, producing all this meat if people keep buying it.
Yeah,
it's not gonna happen. You know, but there is that kind of. I think the fact that it's slowly getting broken down from being something so taboo to something more normalized, especially in younger generations. I think even for people, you know, in their teens and whatnot, it's a real option.
Yeah,
you know, it's a very real option now. And they can go to KFC and get something vegan. They can go to Burger King and get something vegan. You know,
not a Burger King, mate.
Do they not have a vegan burger? No?
Well, they do, but it's cooked on their meat grill, isn't it? So it's not really vegan. It's kind of more. They say it's more aimed at kind of people trying to limit their meat intake. It comes with It comes with an egg mayonnaise. It comes with dairy cheese. So if you want it to be more plant-based, you have to ask for no mayonnaise and no cheese.
That's a bit cheeky, isn't it?
It's a bit strange, yeah. I don't know why.
I thought it was advertised as being vegan. I thought it was a plant-based burger.
Yeah, no. It is. They've come out and admitted, like, what I've just said, and it's a bit strange. But the KFC burger is good. Really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very good.
So, you know, there is options now. You know, people can do it. And there's restaurants, there's places like Underdog you can go. You know, 10 years ago, even, you know, when you were, you know, started off in the restaurant business, there's no place to go.
No.
So being vegan must have been a nightmare if you had a vegan in the family.
Oh,
you know, trying to get for a meal would have been an absolute nightmare. Whereas now it's so much easier. I think that's the way to do it.
I bet they never used to eat out.
Yeah.
You know, and I remember that was one of my main goals when we opened Avery & Co. to have a menu that is equally meaty as vegetarian.
Mm-hmm.
So a real split down the middle. And we achieved that then, obviously, when we kind of got onto the vegan track, then it just got more and more.
So do you think that's the way going forward for people to, I don't know, solve a lot of issues? I don't want to really get into the whole the effects of the meat industry and whatnot, because it does get a bit preachy. I think everybody knows, basically, you know, it's not sustainable. It can't keep happening. So you need to make a change. I think the way for people to make a change is to simplify it and dumb it down so that it's almost impossible not to.
What, not to dumb it down as in...
There's no excuse anymore for not being vegan, or for not eating more plant, maybe not even strictly vegan, just reducing your meat consumption.
Yeah, and to be honest, that's a lot of the customers we get at Underdog. They're not vegan. They're not eating a plant-based diet. They are full meat eaters that want to reduce the intake of their meat. And I think that's kind of been, over the last 6 months at Underdog, we've seen more and more people coming, you know. I remember there's a few occasions in Underdog when I was working in the evening, and we had a few groups of people come in, and not knowing we were a vegan restaurant or a vegan bar. They thought they were coming in for a pint of beer and some greasy burgers and some greasy hot dogs. And they didn't realise until they were sitting with the menus in front of them. So some people at that point leave. They do. I'm not going to say everyone stays. Some people leave. But then the people that do stay and think, oh, okay, then let's give it a wee try, really kind of apprehensive about it and put them at ease a little bit, then they'll eat the food and they'll absolutely love it. And like, they can't believe that there's no meat in them. Then you see them returning a week or two later, you know?
Yeah.
So I think that in itself is kind of like, oh, we must be doing something half decent here if people that are meat eaters are returning who originally came to us as a mistake.
Yeah, they didn't realise. Yeah, no, there's definitely something in that. There's something, you know, people that walk out as well. I mean, we get that, you know, we've got an open kitchen here, so I can kind of, I see everybody coming in. And you see it, sometimes they'll sit down, have a look at the menu, they'll get up and they'll fuck off. And there's almost a bit of you that's kind of
I think that was me when I came to your restaurant.
I think I was off that day, so I'm kind of
I think you were, yeah, the kid.
Because I would have been like, what the who spoke to him, what happened?
Screaming. Sam was screaming. I could not get him to sit in a chair. So I was like, right, we just need to leave. And I think the only person I noticed, I think I saw Adam at the back of the kitchen. And but I didn't even get, I just had to get Sam out of there. He was causing a ruckus.
Yeah. That's part of the atmosphere, though. But you get that, and you kind of, a part of me is almost like, I mean, I've caught a couple of people just before they leave, and I'll sit them and I'll just say, you know, what do you want? You know, they ask, you know, what do you want? What were you looking for that we didn't have? Because I think our menu's fairly inclusive, or I feel like it's inclusive. There's veggie, there's vegan, there's loads of meat stuff, there's classics on it, there's something a little bit different. You know, it's a variety of stuff. So I'm interested, you know, not saying you guys need to stay, like you're in here now, I'm talking to you, you got to stay. You could still leave 100%, of course you can. But I want to know what you wanted so that I know, you know, where we missed out on your custom. Like, how did we get it wrong for you? Like, what could have been better? And a lot of them will say, oh, yeah, I just didn't like any of the soups on. I mean, we have 2 soups on a day. I think it's something we did at Avery & Co as well.
Yeah.
I think it's actually, again, took from Avery & Co. It was the only place we ever did it. You know, you got 2 soups on. You got I know there it was kind of, one was vegan and one was, you know, whatever you want. Yeah. And here it's sometimes, you know, it's similar. Most of the soups are vegan anyway, just by default because it's easy. But one's kind of weird. You know, not even that weird for, I guess, if I say weird to you, you know, it's not going to be weird, you know, like chickpea and cumin or something.
Yeah.
That kind of soup, something, sweet potato, chickpea, cumin soup. You know, people around here go, what's a chickpea? You know, what the fuck is that? It's mental.
What's cumin?
So, yeah. So you have then you just kind of have like a basic Italian leek or something. So you have the 2 kinds. And they didn't like any of the soups. And I even offered, I said, look, I can make you something else. Like, you want a tomato soup? I'll do your tomato soup, not a problem. You know, we got chopped tomatoes, I got fresh tomatoes, I've got this, that. I'll do your tomato soup. No. And they still didn't want it. And I was like, oh, there's nothing else I could do at that point. It was kind of, yeah, I've exhausted all the avenues to try and, you know, make you want to stay. So it's fine. But I think it is important having that conversation to say, you know, where are you missing out? You know, where did I go wrong for you? Because they're almost more important than the customer that comes in every week. You know, the customer that comes in every week is brilliant. Yeah. But it's almost that the customers that you're not doing it for interest me, especially when you feel like you're inclusive. And we even put a quiche on. I don't even like putting quiche on, but we have a fucking quiche on just to keep, you know, a certain demographic happy. You know, you kind of have these different options.
I think it's difficult because you're never going to please everyone. Like it's like a mass. some people say the food's too spicy. Some people say it's not spicy enough. Some people think it's just right. So you're never going to, I think you've got to come to, if you're happy with it, then that's a good thing. You're not going to please everyone. And I find the people that walk out, 9 times out of 10 are wanting something like pie, chips and beans, which we just don't have on our menus. You know, so I think, you're never going to please everyone.
Do you think it's important to still try and please everyone? Or do you think that it's almost detrimental to, you almost lose sight of what you're about by trying to please the people that are never going to come?
I think it's a tricky question. I think when we're writing menus, you try and be inclusive. You try and make sure you've got a nice split over the menu. You try and put things on the menu that, well, I always think of my mum when I'm writing menus, really, because she's a bit fussy and a bit plain Jane. So I always think, right, if mum comes in here, what's she going to order? Well, she can have that and she can have that. It's like, right, job done. So that's kind of where I go. But then you've got the other people, like maybe when me and you go out to eat, we like to try something that we've maybe not heard of before, or something that sounds a bit funky. So we'd maybe go for that dish. So it's tricky, isn't it? You want to try and please everyone. You want to have something on your menu that will cater for all, but it's not always going to work.
Because there was an interesting quote. I can't remember who said it. I think it was just my old man that passed on to me. He was like, one of the most important rules that this guy found in business was, knowing who your customers aren't. I think it was the guy that set up Five Guys, actually. Things like having their peanuts at the door with the allergies. You're not going to get a guy with a peanut allergy coming in asking what you do when you're surrounded. So it kind of rules out, knowing who your customers aren't rather than trying to work out who they are. Yeah. It's a bit of a backwards one. But I don't know. It's interesting.
As well, like, you've got to take yourself out of the equation as well. Like, yes, if you read a menu and you've got to kind of like all the dishes, but it's not always about you. It's not about me going into my restaurant and buying the food. It's about trying to get other people into the restaurant to buy your food. So even if there's something on the menu that I don't like, then if it tastes good to others, then keep it on, because it's not always about you. And it's same when we've got kegs of beer in the bar. Like, oh, I don't like that beer, so I won't buy it. Well, you can't really think like that, because there's a lot of people out there that do like that beer, and it sells well. So just because I don't like a beer, I still buy it to put it on.
Yeah. So then again, that's another balance. I find that like probably tricky. I don't want to sell tenants, for instance.
Either did I at the start, but
I'm kind of like, it doesn't fit with what we do. Like, it doesn't, I'd rather have, I want to get some crappy. We've got some nicer, drinks in. We do a bit of the Joker IPAs and stuff, and nothing too mental, but we do have a space on the menu to experiment with local guys as well.
Yeah.
And we don't do anything on draft, so it kind of really frees you up you can interchange stuff all the time. But tenants has always been in. And that's something that my old man's always pushed for. Is that you've got to have tenants on, because people want to have a pint of something. We don't do anything by the pint. People want to have a pint of something.
So what? Have you got the tenants pint cans, have you?
Yeah. So you get the pint. I mean, they don't get served in the cans. You put them in the pint glass. Yeah. Right. And it's fine. Or we get the glass bottles. Sometimes you get like the slightly bigger tenants bottles.
Yeah.
We'll do that. But for me, I hate it. But I really hate selling tenants. I don't want to, you want to be a little bit, not like tenants, I'll be honest, tenants isn't exactly, it's not a sophisticated drink, but it's not interesting. No. It's fucking tenants, so everybody knows what it is. It's basic, it's a festival drink. Do you know what I mean? It's just the shit that you drink when you're 16 or whatever. It's not really, for me anyway, that'd be like putting Lambrini on your wine list. It just doesn't fucking work. So, but it's so popular.
It is so popular, and that was kind of like us.
Everyone drinks it.
We didn't want to put Tennent's on draft in Underdog, but the amount of people we had asking about it, we put Stella when we first opened. We put Stella on as draft, my favourite, and but we rebranded it to an Underdog lager, which the company said we could do, and it was so much hassle, like going to, what kind of lager is it? Well, it's kind of like Stella, but it's got our name on it, you know. And it's like, so this went on for about a year. So just kind of just think maybe, well, not a year, no. Maybe just in January there, we changed over to Tennent's, and we sell loads of it.
Yeah,
it's crazy, absolutely crazy. And we've got the big red tea outside the bar now, and it's just that
you've gone all out. You've gone all out.
Yeah, it's just that brand that people know and love, and especially with students. I was speaking to a few people from Tennent's, and they were saying students drink it because it's what they remember their dad drinking growing up. So it's just like a kind of cultural thing. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah. It does sell well though. But I'm not a Tennent's fan either. I would never order a pint of Tennent's.
It's strange because then you almost think as well, like our idea was, another thing was we wouldn't do steak pie because everybody informed does steak pie, and loads of people would ask for it, but you just don't do it. But we do have the nice beef feather blade that's kind of like our version of a steak pie. There's no pastry on it, fair enough. But if you're looking for steak pie, you'll probably enjoy this.
Yeah.
So that was the whole idea of everything on the menu was, it's maybe not quite what you were looking for, but it's different. Try it, and trust us, and have a go.
But then that goes to kind of menu descriptions as well, because sometimes the way a menu reads might sound a bit too fancy or a bit too beef feather blade. I've never had that before.
Yeah.
But actually, it's just like a stew and beef, you know.
Yeah.
So it's the wording of menus as well that kind of puts people off.
Yeah, but I think as well, obviously, I kind of wanted that to run in with the drinks though, because I was like, we'll take Tennent's off. Just fuck the Tennent's, get rid of it, get something that's similar to Tennent's, but a lot, in our opinion, is better. And then when people ask for a Tennent's, say, look, we don't do Tennent's, but we do this. And this, make this the new favourite, But it's not happened yet. I'll still push for it. It's not happening.
But it's like at Avery & Co. Like people would come in and say, "Oh, I'll have a pint of lager," and say, "Oh, I'm really sorry, we don't do draft, but we've got X, Y, and Z in bottles. Or I'll just have a Coke." Now, see, to me, that's weird to me. If you want a beer, surely you want a beer on draft or on bottles or cans, whatever it is.
Yeah.
If I couldn't get a pint of something, I'd just take a bottle or a can.
Yeah.
I'm not going to instantly change my mind or have a Coke. It's weird.
No, that's bizarre. That's a bit of a strange one.
It used to happen all the time in Avery & Co.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a bizarre one. But having that kind of, again, the menu board, and I quite like having that, something a little bit different on the menu board, then, so it's not too, not too familiar. Like, it's familiar. There's familiar notes in the menu, but it's familiar enough that you don't feel weird ordering it.
Yeah.
But it's different enough that you're like, oh, what is that? And then you can ask, and then it gives me an opportunity if I'm out speaking at a table, and I can explain to them what it is, or people don't necessarily like to be explained to. You can almost tell a story about why you called it that, why it is called that, where it comes from. It gives you, kind of opens up a dialogue, which I think is quite important for us, especially with having younger team out front.
Yeah.
They find that a lot of them. Yeah, we've got a couple that are really good at opening up dialogue with people. A couple of them are really uncomfortable starting the conversation. So I found that was a good way to get them, almost take the pressure off them a little bit. Say, look, the customer's going to start the conversation with you, purely because they don't know where this is on the menu, and you're going to explain it to them with confidence because you've studied it and you know exactly what it is. So there is that kind of, I don't know, the way you word menus.
Yeah.
You kind of, you call it something fancy just because you try to be something you're not.
Simple and straightforward is the way to go. You know, trying to overcomplicate things just gets frustrating for everyone, staff, customers. Nice and simple. That's my rule of thumb.
Spot on. Well, I think that's just pretty much covered everything that I was wanting to chat about. Unless there's anything you're doing that you want to, anything going on that you want to shout about now.
Not really, man. Just keep. I just keep kind of trying new, kind of vegan alternative things like the bacon. Nailed that. Pepperoni. Nailed that. Then I'm kind of working on my own cheese at the moment, which is proving difficult.
Mm. Vegan cheese is notoriously minging, though.
Yeah, well, I've found that because we've been doing the pizzas up in the house, Tesco's free from mozzarella is really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it's expensive as well. So trying to make my own would be a little bit more cost effective.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no. So apart from that, man, yeah, just doing away. Can't wait to get open properly again.
Yeah.
Back to doing what we're here to do, you know.
It's been a nice break.
It has.
Tedious now.
Yeah,
we need to get back.
It's gone on a little bit too long now, I think. But
no, definitely.
Yeah, it's good.
So that's spot on. Thank you very much for taking the time to come and do it. We do appreciate it.
No worries. It's like an hour and a half out of childcare.
A bit of a Skype, like no, spot on. Well, thank you very much for that. And,
no worries. Nice to see you.
I look forward to seeing you as well, and good luck when we all open up again.
Yeah, man. You too. Speak to you soon. Bye, Adam.
Cheers.
Cheers.